What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a different kind of video today. I didn't feel like doing my usual meal planning this week, so we decided to get a HelloFresh box. And I thought it'd be fun to take you through the recipes we got and to rate them. I'll be talking about how unique the recipes are, how easy each one is to make, and if I would remake them in my own time. We've been using HelloFresh on and off for years. In fact, these two huge binders are basically all the HelloFresh recipes we've used in the last few years, along with recipes from other meal kit services like Home Chef and I think Blue Apron. So anyways, come along with me this week as I make these recipes. All right everyone, it's day one and we are going to be making brown sugar bourbon pork meatloaves. Now this seems like the most complicated and involved recipe out of all the ones that I got for this box. So I am deciding to get it out of the way first. It looks complex because there are multiple things that I need to chop up. I need to shape meatloaves, which I've never done before. Anything involving mashed potatoes, I just know is gonna take some time. And I need to roast some stuff. So let's see how this goes. Ta-da! First meal done. I would say that I'm a pretty efficient cook, but this still took me about an hour, give or take. So this is definitely a meal that you will want to block out some time for. It felt like a lot of mise en place at the beginning. Some changes I made. The recipe did not say to use garlic powder on the beans, and I did. The recipe also did not say to use a food processor on the mashed potatoes, but I also did that. I just like when my mashed potatoes are creamy, and I felt like it would have taken me a lot of brute force to just go to town on the potatoes with a masher. And obviously, as you saw, I forgot to add the grated apples into the meatloaf. I do feel like the apples were a little hard to incorporate into the meatloaf. If they were minced apples, maybe everything would have held together a little better. Let's taste test beans. I like it with the lemon zest. I prefer my beans roasted a little longer, but this is perfectly fine. Potatoes. But meatloaf. I really like that bourbon brown sugar seasoning. I think it just automatically elevates the flavor of the meatloaf. I think the glaze is a little strong, but that's okay. Overall, I would say this recipe is unique to me because I usually don't make meatloaf. However, I do feel like a lot of HelloFresh meals are a protein, a carb, a vegetable, and this definitely checks off all those boxes. So in terms of like a really unique creative recipe, maybe not, especially once you've done a lot of HelloFresh boxes like we have, but still solid meal. Looking forward to spending less time on the next meals though. Welcome to day 2 of our HelloFresh journey. Today we are making spicy Peruvian chicken. Now, like I've said before, I've done a bunch of HelloFresh boxes and I thought to myself, why does this look familiar? Bam! I realized that it's almost identical to the fajita spice pork chop bulgur bowls recipe. I feel like they tried to be a little sneaky because when the ingredients are listed on the spicy Peruvian chicken recipe, scallions listed first and then garlic and then jalapeno. But on the pork chop recipe, it says garlic first and then scallions. There are a few other things that are different, like this uses bulgur, this uses rice, pork chop, chicken, but the idea of it is basically the same, and the fajita spice blend is also exactly the same. I don't really have a huge problem with that because I actually love this pork chop recipe, and I've remade this pork chop recipe several times. I've just swapped out the bulgur for rice. So I already think that this spicy Peruvian chicken recipe is probably gonna be good. I'm just pointing out that it is probably gonna taste really familiar to me. Here we go. Yay, we have our second meal complete. It is honestly looking so vibrant and beautiful. I don't want to eat it, but I do because I'm hungry. I just want to say that this rice smells incredible. Cooking it in butter, garlic, scallion whites, chicken stock. I could probably just eat the rice by itself. Let's take a bite. I think I added a little too much jalapeno juice to the rice because it's got a kick, but it still tastes good. Let's try some of this chicken. Looks so flavorful and yummy. That's great. I think if I were to remake this recipe, I'd probably use chicken thighs instead of chicken cutlets, just so it's a little juicier, but the flavor's great. Everything works really well together. I really like this creamy salsa verde sauce. And yeah, overall, I think this dish is a win. This took me about 45 minutes, give or take, and it definitely felt simpler than yesterday's recipe. But that could be because, again, I've made a recipe similar to this in the past. I think I would probably order the instructions a little bit differently. What I actually did first, instead of prepping the vegetables like the instructions say, is season the chicken. I know it's important to season your chicken as soon as possible. So I actually jumped ahead a little bit and I patted my chicken dry and seasoned it. Just be careful though, because in step 4, it says to season your chicken with the remaining fajita spice blend, because in an earlier step, you're supposed to use part of the spice blend in the rice. Overall, I think this is a really great recipe and this is really easy to remake. Also, if you want to recreate a HelloFresh recipe at home, but you're not sure what goes into their different spice blends, you can just Google what goes into whatever spice blend and people on the internet will tell you. Okay, enough talking. I'm gonna eat. Today we are on recipe number 3. These are 1-pan beef stir-fry tacos. This is gonna sound weird and maybe a little elitist, but I'm somebody who loves to cook. And so usually when I'm picking recipes, I don't like picking something like this because, for example, you have shredded red cabbage in this recipe. I know it's just gonna come in a bag and then I'll dump it into the pan and I'll swirl it all around. So it doesn't feel like full cooking to me, but a recipe like this is perfect for today where I have a lot going on. I don't wanna have to think about washing and prepping all my vegetables, having something going in a pot, in a pan, in the oven. So I think this is a good choice to make today. Also, I forgot to mention that with this week's box, we were able to choose a free item. Some of those items were desserts, like last time we got a chocolate cheesecake that was pretty good. But when we were looking at options for free items this week, I saw that there was actually a 5th meal. Here it is. These are cheesy egg and guacamole breakfast sandwiches. Breakfast items are usually add-ons. So the fact that I get this breakfast sandwich recipe for free with my box is pretty cool. Okay, time for lunch. Yay, I am here with my tacos. They are looking really colorful and beautiful. If I wasn't filming and if I wasn't dilly-dallying, I feel like this would probably take me 15 to 20 minutes, but I was filming and I was dilly-dallying, so it took me much longer. Some changes I made to the recipe. It says in the recipe that I don't need to use all of the sweet soy glaze that they gave and that I should really measure out the amount of glaze I'm using because they sent me extra. Well, I ended up using all of it anyway because I felt like the amount they told me to put in originally wasn't enough to coat all the beef. I also feel like there kind of wasn't enough of everything to fill 12 taco shells. I felt like I was really rationing the amount of beef that went into every taco. There was more than enough slaw. I felt like I definitely did not have enough sriracha mayo. I normally would want a lot more sauce on my tacos than what they gave me. Time to take a bite. I need to take another bite because there wasn't much beef in that one. Not bad. Flavors are there, textures are there. It's just not wowing me. I'd say that this is probably my least favorite recipe out of the 3 that I've tried so far, but it's still not bad. Like, it's fine. See you for recipe 4. Hello again. Same day, but later. I've decided that even though I still have 2 more servings of the tacos from earlier to eat, I kind of just want to get all my cooking for the weekend out of the way. So we are moving on to our last recipe, crispy chickpea tabbouleh bowls. Before we move on though, I did have one more thing to say about the taco recipe. Unfortunately, I didn't really love the quality of the poblano peppers I got. I'm sure it mainly has to do with just the nature of shipping these ingredients and the peppers being smushed into a paper bag with all the other ingredients for the recipe. But my peppers were a little wrinkly, which to me signals that they're not super fresh, and they both had some cracks in them. I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I have not gotten the best quality quality ingredients from my HelloFresh boxes. Sometimes the produce isn't super fresh, and other times I'm missing small components here and there, like a sauce or a topping. But whenever I've reached out to HelloFresh about these issues, they've been really nice. They've sent me free stuff. I think their customer service is pretty good. So just something to keep in mind. Alrighty, tabbouleh! We are here with completed meal number 4. It looks and smells amazing. Right off the bat, I already love a bunch of different components in this. I love the fresh scallion greens sprinkled on top. I love roast chickpeas, and I think the way that the bulgur was seasoned, I'm really gonna like that as well. Some changes I made. Unfortunately, there's not gonna be enough cucumber to balance out the tomato here. One of my cucumbers came in pretty old. It already felt a little slimy to the touch, and parts of it were really mushy. Also, step 5 says to squeeze the juice of the lemon and to whisk it together with the lemon zest, some olive oil, and salt, and then add that mixture to the bulgur. I just wanted to do it all in one pot, so I squeezed the lemon juice directly into my pot with the bulgur and added the rest of the stuff directly into the pot as well. Let's try it. Wow, look at this. This is a good recipe. I did have to have a couple things going at the same time, like the pot and the oven, and I had to make a sauce, but I feel like it was all worth it. I don't think it took me super long, like maybe 30 to 40 minutes, and I just feel like all the time is worth it because I love recipes that just feel really clean and fresh and vibrant, like a lot of Middle Eastern recipes and Mediterranean recipes. There's so much brightness to this dish with the dill and the lemon. It's genuinely really tasty, and I feel like this might be my favorite out of all the recipes that we've had. Okay, I'm gonna go finish this.
So the only thing we have left is that breakfast sandwich that I mentioned the other day. David made one for himself earlier, and he's making me one now. What would you say about the recipe? Do you think that it's easy to make? Do you think that it tastes good?
It's definitely easy to make, and part of the appeal is you can do it without having to break out any pots, just because you can microwave the egg. I don't love that. Even if you like break up the yolk, it's still gonna like pop or explode a little bit. Eggs in the microwave just don't taste really good. It's fine, like the composition of the sandwich is like good. They give you guac, they give you like a nice mayo that you mix with a hot sauce. But yeah, eggs in the microwave, just use a skillet and then it'll come out like tasting better probably.
Did you hear that? It popped in the microwave. Did you season it at all?
No, yeah, it didn't say to season, but definitely like season the eggs.
So you just cracked the egg into the bowl and you're microwaving it?
Yes, that's what I did. That's what the HelloFresh instructions said to do.
David had asked if I want to cook my egg in a skillet or if I want the HelloFresh experience, and I said I wanted the HelloFresh experience, so that's what I'm getting. I will note that I don't think our box came with the physical instructions, but what's good is that every HelloFresh recipe you can very easily find online. In fact, I'll link all the recipes that I made in this video in the description.
So I've got my completed breakfast sandwich here, thanks to my husband. There's a lot of stuff in here, and I watched him assemble it. So basically, he toasted the 2 brioche buns, microwaved the eggs with scallion whites that he already cut up, topped it with, looks like Mexican cheese or like 3 cheese. He smeared 1 brioche bun with spicy mayo that he made by mixing mayo and the hot sauce that was provided. He smeared guacamole on the other side. He put the egg patty on 1 bun, topped it with tomatoes, and layered it with a bunch of these blue chips that were provided. Okay, wow, I like that. For something that has a bunch of components that I usually wouldn't like prepackaged guacamole and microwaved eggs, not bad, especially because this is free, and you know, free always tastes better. So we have made it all the way through all of our HelloFresh recipes. Thank you for making it this far in the video. Right now, I just want to do a gut reaction out of 5 stars review of all the recipes. Starting first with our brown sugar bourbon pork meatloafs. I would say like a 3.5 to a before. I thought the meatloaves were seasoned well. I love mashed potatoes. It just took me a lot of time, but tasted good. Next we have our spicy Peruvian chicken. I would say about the same. Actually, I'm gonna give the meatloaves a 4 and this like a 3.5. I think flavors were good. The rice tasted great. I do think that I liked the meatloaves slightly better. One pan beef stir-fry tacos. I would give this like a 2. Honestly, I made all the tacos and then after I had like 2 of them, I kind of didn't want them anymore. I'm not giving them a 1 because they were pretty easy to make, but I did not feel like eating this for 2 meals. Crispy chickpea tabbouleh bowls. This gets like a 4.5. I love how healthy it was. I loved that there were a bunch of really bright, fresh ingredients that worked together in a beautiful way. This I actually was very excited to eat my second portion of the next day. And then lastly, I guess the breakfast sandwiches, I honestly would give like a 4. They were pretty solid. I felt like there were a lot of interesting things going on, from like the egg being cooked with the scallion, even though it was in the microwave. I like that there were blue chips in the sandwich. I like that there was spicy mayo and guacamole. I could have another one tomorrow. I think all in all, I know that I am gonna go back to HelloFresh at some point, even if it's not next week or this month. I think HelloFresh is a really good go-to for if you love to cook but just can't be bothered to dream up ideas for meal prep like me this week. Or if you don't really know how to cook and you want just something laid out for you step by step so that you can experiment and try new recipes that you may not have thought of to try on your own. HelloFresh is not bad, and I feel like out of all the meal kit services that we've tried, it is the brand that we kind of keep going back to. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you got the same box, if you've tried some of these recipes, if you agree or disagree with my opinions. I would really love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.